They laughed, they mocked, they thought they were invincible, until the man they pushed too far walked out of the shadows. You won't believe what happened in those 47 seconds that turned a quiet neighborhood into a battlefield. Watch till the end, and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life shockers that'll leave your heart racing. The sun was barely up when the whispers began echoing through the prim, manicured streets of Willow Creek Estates, a gated community that prided itself on perfection, order, and the absolute authority of its homeowners association. On the surface, it looked like the American dream polished to a shine. Freshly cut lawns, pastel houses, luxury cars gleaming in driveways, but underneath that suburban calm was a web of control, gossip, and silent hostility toward anyone who didn't fit the mold. When Emily Carter, a bright, independent teenage girl with streaks of blue in her hair and a fearless heart, moved in with her father, John Carter, a retired Navy SEAL, the neighborhood didn't quite know what to make of them. John kept to himself, polite but distant, a man carved from discipline and shadows. Emily, on the other hand, was pure fire, always skating through the cul-de-sac, earbuds in, smile defiant. But her spirit clashed with the HOA board, especially with its iron-fisted leader, Margaret Hollis, who treated every nonconformity as a personal threat. First, they sent warnings for the unauthorized mailbox color. Then fines for noise disturbance because of Emily's skateboard wheels. Soon came accusations: trash bins, left too long, unkempt, grass, disrespectful behavior. It was a campaign, subtle at first, but clearly meant to push them out. John said nothing, paid the fines quietly, and watched. He'd learned patience in the military: wait, assess, strike only when necessary. But the situation spiraled when Emily returned home from school one afternoon, tear-streaked and trembling. Someone had posted a photo of her locker vandalized with the words, "HOA trash," scrawled in marker. The same evening, a group of HOA board members gathered on the Carter property while John was away on a short security contract, shouting about rules violations. Emily, trying to film them for proof, was shoved, her phone knocked away, and the confrontation turned ugly. One of the men grabbed her wrist. Another laughed, saying, "What, you think Superman's gonna fly in and save you?" That line would echo in their nightmares forever. Because 47 seconds later, her father's black truck screeched to a halt at the curb. John had returned early. What followed wasn't chaos, it was precision. Years of military training condensed into seconds. He didn't raise his voice, didn't lose control. His movements were deliberate, terrifyingly calm. The first man who touched his daughter found himself pinned to the ground before he realized what hit him. Another reached for his phone, maybe to record, maybe to call for help, but John's icy stare froze him mid-motion. "You have 47 seconds, John said, voice low as thunder, to get off my property." They didn't move. He stepped closer, eyes locked on the ringleader, Margaret's husband, Charles Hollis, a self-proclaimed pillar of the community. 46, 45, the countdown wasn't a threat. It was a promise. Emily stood behind him, shaking, her face pale but her eyes burning with something between shock and awe. When John hit 30, Charles stammered something about HOA regulations and legal consequences. John didn't flinch. "You touched my kid. That's assault. You trespassed. That's another charge. You've got 20 seconds before this stops being a warning." The crowd began to scatter, muttering, tripping over themselves to escape. But Margaret appeared then, stepping from her white Lexus, her voice dripping with arrogance. "You people don't belong here. You think your military past means anything. You don't scare me." John turned slowly, looked her dead in the eyes. "Lady, I don't want to scare you. I want you to remember this moment when you wake up tomorrow and realize what almost happened." Margaret sneered, trying to hold her ground, but John's quiet authority shattered her bravado. 15 seconds, he said, and she faltered. When they were gone, Emily burst into tears, clinging to him. John didn't speak. He just wrapped his arms around her and stared at the now empty street. But the story didn't end there. No, it was only beginning. The next morning, HOA members filed complaints, twisting the truth, claiming John had threatened violence. They tried to have him arrested, but what they didn't know was that his truck's dashcam, and Emily's recovered phone, had recorded everything. When the sheriff arrived, John calmly handed over the footage. Within hours, the truth spread across the county like wildfire. The HOA Bullies were exposed, not just for the attack, but for years of harassment toward other families who didn't fit. Reporters swarmed. Neighbors whispered. Margaret's empire of control crumbled overnight. But the deeper twist came when one of the board members, racked with guilt, came forward with something shocking. The HOA had been laundering funds through fake maintenance invoices, pocketing thousands from residents under the guise of beautification projects. John turned over the evidence to federal investigators. Within weeks, arrests were made. The Hollises fled town, their perfect suburban dream shattered. As for Emily and John, they stayed, not out of stubbornness but principle. "We don't run from bullies," John told her. "We make them remember why they shouldn't pick a fight they can't finish." Months later, the new HOA board asked John to serve as community safety advisor. He refused, but Emily smiled when she saw the new sign at the entrance of Willow Creek: respect, integrity, accountability. Every now and then, people would drive by their house, slowing down just a bit, maybe to see the man who'd taken on the system and won. But John didn't care about recognition. He cared about one thing only: the daughter he nearly lost. The story became legend online after a neighbor uploaded the footage, titled, "HOA Bullies vs. Navy SEAL Dad, 47 Seconds of Justice." Millions watched, thousands commented, and across the internet, one quote stood out: "They asked if Superman was coming. They didn't know he already lived there." The world loves heroes in capes, but sometimes the real ones wear scars and silence. And for Emily, her father wasn't just her savior that day. He was the proof that courage doesn't roar, it whispers, counts down, and acts. So, the next time someone underestimates quiet strength, remember John Carter, the man who turned 47 seconds into a lifetime lesson that power doesn't always shout, it simply shows up.